Okay, let's talk about imposter syndrome. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I got to tell you who I am. I'm Savannah. For those of you who don't know, I'm the founder of Love Your Body Now, which is a clothing brand that helps women heal their relationship with themselves so that they can build confidence from within. Since the clothing brand, we have expanded to in person events, retreats, mentorship for women. So, if any of that interests you, sorry, I thought my dog was going to knock something over. If any of that interests you, I'll be sure to include links to everything that I do so that you can check that out. But as you can tell, I wanted to dive right into this whole idea of imposter syndrome because I think, well, I've been hearing it a lot lately and women bringing it up in and mostly it's a lot of like entrepreneurship women, but if it's not, that's okay. I think we've all at some point experienced imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what imposter syndrome is or like the context of it, really essentially is this idea that we kind of like feel whatever we are wanting to do, we don't feel maybe experienced enough. We don't feel like we are the right person for the job. Like there's better people out there who are more equipped. We don't feel confident in what we're doing. So, a prime example of this could be you applying for a job that maybe you are qualified for and they offer you the job and or maybe you go through the interview and you get a lot of great feedback, but in the back of your mind, you feel a little bit of this like imposter syndrome where you worry that maybe you aren't qualified enough, maybe you're not good enough to get the job, those types of feelings. So, if you've experienced imposter syndrome before, let me know in the comments. But we're going to dive into how you get over imposter syndrome because there are too many women out there who are powerful AF who have gifts and they are experiencing imposter syndrome. And let me just say that there are people out there who are less qualified than you, less experienced than you, who are doing whatever it is you want to do. And they're just doing it with confidence, right? So, like, we need to I want to really hone in on this for the women who are experiencing this because I think the women that experience this are the ones who are the most gifted, are the ones who are the most qualified, who have the most experience. So it's frustrating when we as women know this about ourselves. Like, you probably know that you are more than capable, but you can't control this feeling that comes up within you that is like this little voice telling you that you aren't qualified enough, that you need to have more experience, you need to have more qualifications in order to do the part. I'm sure a lot of people could say that about me, that I don't have enough experience, that I'm not old enough to be mentoring women and teaching women. And sometimes that's the imposter syndrome that I experience of like, I feel like I have so much value to give. I feel like I have gone through so much inner work and healing and ended up on the other side of it and really transformed into a whole new person, and I feel very called to share that and teach that and help other women do the same. But my imposter syndrome is like you are too young. People will not take you as seriously as they would if you were older. I think that that's like the feeling that I get now. Like, who am I to tell someone how to do things when they've been here longer, they have had more experiences, they have had more lessons. Like, that's the thing that I experience. So just know that I don't think anyone's immune to it, but the amount of power that you give it is what really sets you apart from other people who are just doing the thing and not allowing imposter syndrome to control their whole life and prevent them from stepping into their more. So, let's talk about how you even address imposter syndrome because essentially, if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, there is internal work to be done. That is a like number one sign that if you are really experiencing it and it is like kind of overwhelming you or making you feel a certain way all the time, there is internal work that needs to be addressed. So I just want to start with that there may be experiences that you went through at some point that made you feel like you weren't worthy or that you weren't enough, you weren't good enough, and it is showing up now as imposter syndrome. So I talk a lot about this with when it comes to our subconscious beliefs, that the things that come up for us in our physical world, they are just symptoms, okay? For me, a lot of it was when I struggled with my body image. I picked myself apart in the mirror. Like I just always had something negative to pick apart about myself physically. I would compare myself to other girls. I would always think that I would put other girls on pedestals of like their how they had beauty and I did not. That was my way of finding proof that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy as who I was. And sometimes for some people, imposter syndrome is their way of finding proof if with that feeling. So know that there is internal work to be done, and you really need to get clear on what is the subconscious belief that I am holding right now that is making me feel unworthy, that is making me feel like who I am right now is not enough to be doing the things that my heart is calling me to do. Okay, a lot of discovering subconscious beliefs can happen through journaling. So what you can do is use triggering moments or experiences to get curious. When you are most triggered, that is really when you can find a lot of information about yourself, and always have the observant mind. Like, try not to go into this with a critical mind. Um, and being hard on yourself. Really, journaling is a tool that you can use to start to peel back layers about yourself and to discover what subconscious beliefs are really running the course of your life. And what I will say too, and I dive so much into self sabotage a lot and the psychology of it, but honestly, imposter syndrome is a form of self sabotage. So, I talk about how when we experience sabotage, it is ultimately you having a conscious desire, a conscious want, or a wish to make a change in your behavior and what you do, like anything conscious decision, and you go to fulfill that decision, or you think about it, or you want to do it. If it is not aligned with your subconscious beliefs, you will experience an identity crisis within yourself, which will lead to sabotage. And when we sabotage, it's not always obvious. Sometimes it shows up in forms of like imposter syndrome. So maybe you are wanting to step into your more. Maybe you are having your heart has a desire and it wants you to do this thing, but you are lacking the confidence. That is a perfect example of you sabotaging your decisions or like stepping into that thing. Or maybe you're trying to, but you're showing up with like really low confidence. Like people can feel that energy, and then you don't attract the clients or you don't sell the thing. Like that is how sabotage shows up, because your subconscious beliefs, they rule our life. They rule 95% of our life. I talk about that all the time. And ultimately, the subconscious beliefs, like the whole purpose of them is like they are looking for proof everywhere. And if you go to step into something more, you make a conscious decision that you're going to try something new. If it's not aligned with the subconscious beliefs, you can go out and do it, but the energy of like what it could be is not, it's always going to try and match the subconscious beliefs, and that's where sabotage can come in. So you could maybe say that you're doing the thing and you get uncomfortable, which is really great. Like it's necessary to put yourself in uncomfortable situations so you can grow, but you may not experience like the reward of, if you see like another coach doing the exact same thing and they are making tons of sales and they're getting tons of clients, they have a different energy, and their energy is likely aligned with the subconscious beliefs. So there is no contradictory within self. If you're trying to step into something more, but your subconscious belief is like the complete opposite, it is unaligned, then you doing that thing, there's going to be some form of sabotage. And that could be imposter syndrome for you, where you just experience this lack of confidence and this lack of clarity in what you're trying to do. Therefore, it leads to more overwhelm or confusion, or just like the way you show up, like your energy and what you're trying to do. And like energy attracts like energy. So if you are trying to attract clients and make money doing a certain business, but your energy is like off, that's what's being projected into the world. And that's the energy that you were going to receive. Like we always have an equal energy exchange. So if you are wanting high paying clients, like your energy has to match that same value exchange. I hope that makes sense. Um, Okay, so that's how you can start to become aware of like what's going on, like why imposter syndrome exists, why you may be experiencing it, and what it can look like for you in your life. Now, how do we overcome it? Well, I did mention how using triggering events to get curious and try to peel back layers for yourself can be a very great starting point. Like I mentioned, this is just a symptom. So everything in our physical world that we are experiencing, it is a symptom of what's within. So we need to get clear on the subconscious belief, and we need to work through some of those blocks that we may have. We may have had an experience in our life that it created this shadow within us where this subconscious belief forms, and it's just we create our feedback loops with it. So then the subconscious belief feels stronger and stronger and stronger. And we have to work to rewire that. And that takes time and that takes really intentional work. So the sooner that you can get really clear on, okay, this is the subconscious belief, maybe this is where it came from, like it doesn't always necessary, like you don't always necessarily need to know where the subconscious belief came from. Sometimes if you experience like really traumatic things, or like you're having a really hard time work through some things that you did experience in your life, sometimes like therapy is necessary to really help you get that breakthrough. But we have so many subconscious beliefs, and I don't think that we always need like therapy to get us through this. I think that there's a lot of tools out there that if we are intentional, we can start to rewire things ourselves. But I am not a therapist. That is not like advice, like me telling you that you don't need therapy, but I'm saying that we can get started. Like we can start doing this work today. It just takes intention, and you just like have to know how to do it. Like you have to be smarter than your own brain in a way. So we want to start to get clear on like what these subconscious beliefs are, specifically the ones that are preventing us from really stepping into what we truly desire and what we want to be doing. Once you are in that work and you are starting to do it, you need to have like you need to have like your brain on police mode, okay? Like any thought that doesn't that okay, any thought that is feeding into that subconscious belief that you no longer want, we have to be so aware of it that we stop it before it continues on and continues that feedback loop that I've talked about before. The feedback loop, like the more you allow the feedback loop to go on and on and on, the more it's going to reinforce that subconscious belief, and the harder it's going to be to rewire the subconscious belief. So you have to be on like police alert with your thoughts, because your thoughts are going to drive your actions. So, as you can get more aware of your thoughts, you can start to also take control more of your actions. And really, you have to. Ooh, a good way of thinking of this. I just thought of this. So, the subconscious beliefs that we don't want anymore, think of those as weeds. And the new ones that you're trying to create and have as your new subconscious beliefs, think of those as flowers, like your garden. We need to stop giving water to the weeds, and we need to start giving water to the garden and the flowers that we want, so that grows and the weeds over here die. Now, I know in real life, like, weeds are like really pesky, and like we don't water our weeds all the time and they still grow, seems like, anyways. But that's literally like the perfect analogy, is that we have to stop giving our subconscious beliefs the attention that they want, and we need to start giving the new ones the attention that it needs to flourish and thrive. And that takes intention, a lot of intention. And um maybe you can think, I'm going on with this analogy, maybe you can think of the weeds as like, if they're not going away by simply just like not giving them water and stuff, maybe that means you have to take it a step further, right? We When we have weeds, sometimes we have to hire people to do our lawn and clean everything up. Maybe you can think of that as like therapy, or if you work with someone who helps you regulate your nervous system, like those types of things. But anyways, okay, I need to get off that wagon. So um where was I? As we are working through getting over imposter syndrome, as we are working through discovering what the subconscious belief is that we have that is leading to this imposter syndrome, I really think it's important to find proof in why you are able and equipped for the thing that you're trying to step into. Because just like our subconscious beliefs, always trying to find proof of why we are not enough, why we are not capable, why we are not worthy in forms of our reality. If you start to train yourself to find proof of why you are enough, why you are worthy, why you are capable, why you are equipped to do the thing, it's not only going to train your brain to start finding those things, but it's also going to feed and water these new subconscious beliefs that you are looking to um, create for yourself. And when you are also doing this, you are naturally kind of like building confidence in yourself, because you are intentionally looking for all of the reasons why you are qualified to do these things. And here's the thing, like, your qualifications don't have to look like anyone else's. Stop comparing why your gifts are necessary for the world. Like, stop comparing those gifts to other people who may be doing similar things. I think when you try to like look for proof of, well, this person has this certification and this degree and this many years of experience, and maybe you don't have all of those things, that is feeding into the imposter syndrome. That is feeding into the not enough. You have to create it for yourself. You have to be willing to say, this is what I bring to the table, and this is enough. It doesn't matter what so and so does. It doesn't matter what this person is doing and how they got there. I went through this experience. This is what I learned. This is how I've applied it to my life and changed my life. Therefore, I am choosing to be qualified to help other people do that. Our subconscious beliefs, our new beliefs that we want to have and carry with us, we don't you don't need proof. You don't need to look at someone else and say, well, this is the industry standard of what you need to do X, Y, and Z. No, like, you just get to decide, oh, like, I did this and this is what I learned and experienced, and like, I'm going to run with that. If you feel a desire to, I keep like comparing this and using this as like for the entrepreneur space, and this can obviously be applied to literally anything. I think there was an interview recently, and I wish I could remember her name. I'm not even gonna guess because I might be right, but I also might be way wrong. The girl who plays rugby, I think it's rugby, in the Olympics, and she's like setting this new standard for women with body image and like really just being a powerhouse for women, like reminding women that they can be confident as they are. Like they don't have to look a certain way, they don't have to have a certain body type. She's this Olympian athlete. She was just on Dancing with the Stars. You probably know who I'm talking about. Um, but there was an interview recently that I saw, and the interviewer was like, "How do you handle imposter syndrome?" And her answer was, sorry, my cat just woke up, and he like he sat up, and his hair was like everywhere, and he's like, he just looks funny. Um, her answer to this was like, I don't. I don't have imposter syndrome. I believe that what I have achieved, I deserve. And it's literally like I am so glad she said that, because why are we wasting our time doubting ourselves and doubting whether we deserve something that we work hard for? It's just not worth our energy. It's not worth our time. And when you can show up with that energy that she just said, we're unstoppable. Like, we look at the impact that she is having on the world right now. Look at the impact that she is having on women, and she is just being such like a light for women and a great reminder. Imagine what you could do if you showed up with that energy. Like, you're just as capable as she is, and that's what she is saying. Like, we deserve what we are worthy of, the things that we want. We are worthy of the things that we desire and work for. You need to start showing up with that energy. Like, we don't have time to be showing up with this, I'm not sure if I'm enough energy. And I know that it's easier said than done. And I mean, that was like my entire energy for over half of my life. But there are so many people who will benefit from your gifts that you can give the world if you just showed up with the confidence and the energy that you are enough, that you were given these gifts for a reason, and that you get to make this world a better place with them. Like, you just need to own that energy. And I think part of overcoming imposter syndrome, which again essentially is just rewriting your beliefs, but you have to embody who you are trying to be. If you keep embodying this whole imposter syndrome energy, you can't embody the person who has it all. You can't embody the person that is living your dream life and doing the things that you really want to do. You can't do both. So, you really just have to decide to embody this new version of yourself. You can't continue to water the weeds and the crap that like doesn't serve you. You have to dedicate all of your focus to this new version of yourself, and you can't just like keep going back and forth with it. Like, you just have to commit. And yes, you may feel uncomfortable. That's going to feel normal. And I talk a lot about how do we get aligned mind, body, and soul so that we can continue to bring the new baseline of our nervous system with these new beliefs, because they are correlated. So I talk a lot about that. Like, the nervous system is also part of that process, and putting yourself in situations where you do feel uncomfortable. Maybe imposter syndrome does come up, but you know you were meant to be doing it. Like, when you feel those moments, again, having the awareness, catching yourself, like, okay, my body is feeling a certain way. Maybe it's feeling really like restrictive, really like nervous, really anxious. You have to be able to like tune into that and shift it when you are in that moment of stepping into this version that you want to be. Because as you can start to shift your nervous system, when you are in that space of uncomfortableness, what happens is you start to expand your capabilities of being able to like step more into that version. And I know that that might be hard to understand, but once you start to experience it, like here's a perfect example. I knew before I had known anything about what I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted to be like speaking on stages and pouring into people. And I remember like I didn't know that specifically until like more recently, but there was a moment in my life when I was in network marketing and I was at an event and I had earned some kind of recognition where I got to walk on stage and the stage was humongous. Like it was in front of tons of people. And I remember in that moment, like before I was about to get on stage, like I remember feeling nervous, obviously, but it was almost like this inner knowing had come through to me that I was meant to be on stages. And in that moment, I decided that I was going to embody the woman that goes on stages all the time because I knew it was my future. So, what I did was I shifted my energy to like, this is now. I am her now. And when I walked on that stage, I walked as if I was there to speak to that entire audience, even though I wasn't. And it shifted something within me. It expanded me in a way that I didn't know. And what on the other side of that, what could have happened is yes, I was nervous to walk across stage. I could have walked across that stage all nervous the entire time, and that would have done nothing for my nervous system. That would have done nothing for my expansion in that moment. So you have to use moments like that where you know you're going in the right direction, but you still feel uncomfortable because you're still working through the subconscious beliefs that and the nervous system baseline, like the homeostasis that you have within your body that is tied to that. That is why we get uncomfortable in situations like that, because it is not aligned, right? But you can use those moments to expand and shift um, your baseline and feel what that feels like, because usually what happens is as we grow and as we become the person that we want to become, it's like in increments. So anytime I have moments like that, even like I spoke on stage last month to a women's empowerment group event, and yes, I was very nervous, but what also like I used it as like my moment to shine and to pour into people, and like I just really connected and tuned into the woman that like does this all the time and knows that she has value to give the audience, that she knows that there are people in that room who needed to hear her message. And I fully owned that. That doesn't mean I wasn't scared. That doesn't mean I wasn't nervous. But like, I just did not allow for any type of doubt, fear, worry to ruin that moment for expansion. Okay. I hope that this is making sense. What I would recommend is if you are wanting more, if you are really wanting to like get deep into this work and you're wanting some more guidance and support on that, I will leave my Uncover and Align private podcast series in the description, which is 5 episodes. It walks you through like where to start and where to begin with the subconscious reprogramming and just like how to become more aware of it and the tools that you can use to get you there. Like I said, I've done this work before. I really like last year especially was like all in on my healing journey, inner growth, um, to step into who I am today. So I walk you through what I've done to get myself there. Um, so I will leave that in the links. And if you're looking for more, you can email me. I at this time I'm still working on some different offers that I'm going to be providing, but mentorship is one of those things, in-person events, retreats. So you can send me an email. I'll leave my email in this description below as well if you want to like ask me what we have right now, but I'll for sure leave the the podcast series available if you want to check that out. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.